Just a couple of guys, a couple of microphones, and a heck of a lot of know. It's Football on the Know with Jim and Joe.
What they say, it's not the X's and the O's, it's the Jimmies and the Joes.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Football on the Know. I am Jim McPhee, alongside of me is Mr. Joe DeCapita.
What's going on, Odos? I'm back for another edition of Football on the Know Show, ready to go.
Yeah.
Listen, if you're new to the channel, if you just started to check in on us to see what we're all about, do us a huge favor. Head over to YouTube and search us up, Football on the Know Show. Hit that subscribe button. Also, don't forget to hit that notification bell to let you guys know when we go live, as well as we are on Facebook and Twitter. Yes, we are. We are everywhere and anywhere you can get your podcasts. We are also there as well. iTunes, Spotify, you name it, we're there. Hit the follow button. Follow along with us. And, let's have a blast talking football.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And it's been an interesting week again, Joe. Some different upsets that happened. People are blown away now that the Jets had beat the Bills. The Bills, the way they have looked.
Yes.
And so strong. And I said that in our picks this last week, this is the game that the Bills because they've been letting some of these teams kind of hang with them still after, first half dominating thing. They needed to really put their foot down on the throats of the Jets here, their divisional opponent, and really flex their muscles and what they can do. And they had a couple of injuries, and it kind of showed, I think, not having Matt Milano there on defense and stuff to help stop that run. They got ran all over by the Jets running game of James Robinson and Michael Carter. And lo and behold, the Jets pull out a win, but that defense looked really good. But Josh Allen really didn't help them out, the Bills at all, though, too, the way he was throwing.
I would say this. I would just say, hey, listen, the Jets outplayed the Bills. It's that simple. This was a rivalry game. This is a divisional opponent. They know each other so well. It was bound to be a close game. As much as you might dismiss the Jets this year, they've been doing some things. They've been winning games, and they've been stringing them together to be right where they are. They're second in the division right now. And they're nipping at the heels of the Bills. Yes, we didn't expect this to happen. I thought they were going to get better and maybe be like third in the division. But, wow, I mean, they are impressing us at this point, this juncture in the season, right in the smack dab in the middle of the season. And they're on their way trending upward right now.
Absolutely. Robert Sala's got them receipts, and you can't get any returns on this right now, he's saying. So, Paul Matty's in the house with us tonight.
What's going on, Paul?
Right there, he said, "What's shaking, fellas?" Man, we're excited. A lot of different things going on.
I am not surprised, by the way, week to week of things that happen. I am no longer surprised because every single week there's a surprise of some sort.
Right, that's true. And it's not even just what's even going on the field, but stuff behind the scenes and everything else. Just last night we had Election Day too, Joe. So it was crazy stuff with Election Day.
That's right.
Unlike most politicians, that what I said was fucking stupid.
And that's what we try and do. We try to do the same thing here.
Do our best.
By the way, Jeremy Klutz in the house with us.
What's going on, Jeremy? Welcome to the show.
We got the news with Daniel Snyder here with the Washington football team too, with Bezos wanting to buy the team, and he's saying, no, I don't think so. I'm not selling to this guy and everything. So with Jay-Z involved, so now again, Jay-Z trying to get involved with buying another team with Matthew McConaughey involved in this one too. I think that's a kind of head scratcher too. But hey, if you want to throw your hat in the ring to try and go in on a team, why not? But I mean, it's just a funny different pair you got there going on.
Well, I mean, to be fair, there's a lot of celebrities that follow football and are really huge fans. So if they have any kind of inkling, or if they have any hope to maybe obtain some kind of percentage of ownership of one, you got to get into these groups. You got to create like a massive group that has star power and money power, and to be able to even have a chance to go ahead and purchase one of these teams.
Absolutely. Paul Matty says he went to the Jags-Raiders game over the weekend. Yeah, how about
I'm
that?
sorry.
That had to be an interesting game. The tale of two halves in that one again, too, right? But, yeah, again, a lot of different news. Josh Allen, dealing with that injury, but he's day-to-day, so it looks pretty good for the Bills so far. But, I mean, do you rest him this week against the Vikings to be safe?
It depends.
For the playoffs? Well,
it depends.
On how he's feeling, right?
But this is a game that they want to win, though, too. Like, they want to come back and prove to everybody, like, hey, listen, no, last week was just a fluke. Yeah, we took them too lightly, and we fell asleep at the wrong time at the wheel, and, the Jets took advantage. So they want to make a statement this week. They want to come back and make a statement saying, hey, no, we are still the real deal. We're still going to push forward and get the wins.
All right, so what's going on in the news that's big so far that happened, Monday, or what was it? Monday, I think it was, right? Yeah, Monday. We had the firing of Frank Reich. Frank Reich got fired here. So, I mean, that was a big, interesting news that happened right there. So, I mean, here it is. If you look at his record here, too, he's just fired after a 3-5-1 start this season. Overall, he's got a 40-33-1 career. So, again, barely over 500. And then the Colts go ahead and sign Jeff Saturday out of nowhere, too. A guy who is just an analyst on ESPN. And he just got finished up a show that day when he even heard the news and stuff like that. And he was just as surprised as everybody else, with what's going on here. But the difference here, we talked about this last week and about possibly the trend that was going on. I brought it up last week about, hey, Matt Ryan, the switch to Matt Ryan, which kind of perturbed him a little bit. And like, all right, so it looks like you're tanking on the season now, possibly. You've given up. Because you already knew what Sam Ellinger was anyways, kind of already. You've tried him out before a little bit.
Not really. Not for a starting job.
But still, when you look at it, too, then they went and fired their offensive coordinator, too. So you knew kind of the writing was on the wall eventually, the way the teams do this. But it happened quickly, just like that, Joe. It was like, said it maybe wasn't going to be the end of the season, but it really escalated quickly, just like that. And even
really got out of hand fast.
Jeff Saturday said the same thing because he's had a conversation with Jim Irsay just a little bit, and then all of a sudden it's like, hey, by the way, you got the job now, buddy.
Yeah, it was very unrealistic. We'll put it that way. Not only was it shocking, but just so you all know, Jim Irsay said that he had plenty of experience. Well, you know what that experience entails? High school head coach. That's it. Nothing in the NFL, not even assistant level in the NFL. He was a high school head coach, and that's all you need, apparently. So if you're a high school head coach right now, hey, put your applications in now because next year an NFL team could be looking for you. Because Jeff Saturday, I'm sorry, all-pro center, great player, great person, but let's be honest, Jim. Come on. You're bringing a guy who has no NFL coaching experience at all. Yes, he played the game. We get that. And if you wanted to give a former player an opportunity in the front office or even like a positional coach or something like that, just kind of get them in the swing of things. But to just all of a sudden, he has a broadcasting career, and you yank him from that. Like, hey, you're the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts midway through the season. Good luck. I mean, that to me is, wow, it's bonkers.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
It's out of the ordinary because, one, when you look at it and this happens mid-season, you usually grab somebody that's already been with the organization, move up interim, head coach, your defensive coordinator or something like that. Somebody, again, that already knows the players, been working with them, can kind of still run the same type of system or whatever. Not all of a sudden grab a guy like you said who's just been a talk show, who's basically, if you want to just break it down, or just slash analyst, who's still around the game and still kind of, he's been like a mentor to some of the people involved with the franchise still. But again, jump into this coaching staff that's already there right now. I mean, he's not going to all of a sudden say, all right, I'm here now, all of you guys are fired now, and then bring in somebody right away.
That's not going to happen.
I know, but isn't it awkward though, just to bring somebody in that, again, hasn't been involved with anything that the other coaches have been involved with, and then just jump right in mid-season.
Yeah.
In mid-season, it's one thing if you give the guy even a chance, but you do it when you're hitting the reset button in the offseason. All right, now go hire your staff. Let's see what you want to do. Put your print on the team right now. Now you throw them in midway.
Normally in this situation, if you fire the head coach, okay, that's fine. The staff is still going to be there. You usually hire an interim head coach, someone that's in the staff, within the staff. Like for the Colts, honestly, I thought it was going to be Gus Bradley. I thought he was going to be the interim head coach because he's had head coaching experience and maybe just ride the wave the rest of the season. But this kind of shocks everybody. I think it even shocks Colts fans. Now, don't get me wrong. the fan in Indiana, the fans in Indianapolis are like, oh, this is cool. It's Jeff Saturday. We love Jeff Saturday. Yeah, that's all well and good, but this is not good because I want Jim Irsay tested for his alcohol, content in his body because he had to be drunk when he was on the phone call with this conversation. I don't even really know if he was sober when this all transpired. So that's one thing. The other thing, too, is for the Colts going forward, they've already Jim Irsay has already made the decision by making a move like this in the middle of the season when you fire Frank Reich, who, to be honest, 40-33-1 is not a bad record as a newer coach. So he's had success when Phillip Rivers was there. That was the last time that he brought a quarterback in, and it actually kind of led to some success. They went into the playoffs. Yes, they lost, but not they didn't have all the pieces yet. And you could still say the same thing about it even now. It's like they're still trying to recreate this roster. I know it's kind of been 3 years, and you want to see them turn the corner right now, but I think the only thing you could pinpoint Frank Reich and say he gets most of the blame for is for him kind of pointing the finger and said, hey, bring me Phillip Rivers, we're going to win. Bring me Carson Wentz, we're going to win. And now trade and bring me Matt Ryan, and we're going to win. That's really the only thing you could kind of point a finger at him, but like, hey, he said that he could win with these quarterbacks, and he's not winning with these quarterbacks. That's the only niche, the chink in his armor that you could take. So, I mean, for the Colts as a franchise going forward, Jim Irsay made it very clear when you make a move like this that you kind of just, all right, that's it. That's the end of the season. We're just going to do what we can for the rest of the season, make the best of it, and then we're pushing towards the offseason.
It's like that's what he's thinking about. But then also, I thought was interesting about his press conference when he was out there, and he said why that he did hire Jeff Saturday, and he said the fact that he is not afraid. Just like many coaches,
What does that mean?
They get fearful and they get afraid of possibly losing their job or this and that, and they follow analytics too much. So he was really the fact.
That's all opinion.
But that's what I'm wondering. I'm wondering if he talked to Frank so much, and Frank was following so many analytics and made certain decisions that he did or whatever, because he kind of put it out there as like, I don't want a guy that does that. I want a guy that thinks outside the box, that has never been fired as a coach, that has never dealt with maybe having to make decisions here because he was fearful of his job and this and that. And I was like, huh. And, you know what I mean? It was weird.
Hello,
you know
have you ever, Jim, have you, Irsay,
it's kind of strange,
have
right?
you ever, like, you've been in the league for how many years? Like, you've been an owner of the Colts
so
for how many years?
Just for a player then?
My thing is, like, okay, every coach fears the end of their days.
And that's
like,
why he did this decision. I don't. But
no, it doesn't make any sense still.
I know. But
like,
I mean,
come
that's
on.
funny. That's like, that's why he did
That's
it, though.
ridiculous.
It's like the fact that he doesn't have that experience. You know what I mean?
There's really no logic there at all.
Yeah, it is crazy. But Jim
Coaches
Irsay,
do their job. And then
he's been in crazy situations altogether.
And that's the craziest thing for him to say, because honestly, Frank Reich, like, listen, he's a really good coach. Mm-hmm. Like you can sense when a coach gets into a position and they're kind of either, you can feel like maybe they're overwhelmed or maybe they're just not doing a good enough job to sustain that position. I mean, you look at, I mean, there's coaches around the league that are still kind of struggling, still trying to figure things out, you know? Mm-hmm. And I don't think Frank Reich was in that category. I still think this is a team, and we kind of listed it before when we talked about the Colts. Like, what's going on with the Colts? Why aren't they winning games when, not too long ago they were pushing for the playoffs? It's real simple. Look at the roster. It's changed. Mm-hmm. It's not the all-pro offensive line that they once had. The tackles are weaker. You know what I mean? There's not as good pass protection up front. Where's the rest of the weapons? Remember when you had T.Y. Hilton? And then you just drafted Michael Pittman Jr., and then you put it together, and you're like, well, let's see if T.Y. can kind of help split the field and create opportunities for Michael Pittman Jr. as a young kid coming up. This could work. Then T.Y. left, and you didn't replace him with anybody. You drafted Alec Pierce, but he's going to need time to develop. You see flashes of his play. He looks the part, but we're still not there yet. And after that, there's no, like, big-time tight end. Like, you could say, oh, well, we got Mo Alley Cox. Oh, well, that's great. What is he doing for you? He's not consistent either. So that's the problem is You don't have the star-studded offensive line anymore. You don't have all the weapons surrounding whoever's playing quarterback to deliver the ball to. Yes, you got Jonathan Taylor, but this year, Jonathan Taylor's been banged up. Jonathan Taylor's missed some games to the point where that definitely greatly affects this offense and how it's run. So defensively, the Colts, they got a good D-line. Let's face it. They got a really good D-line. They got Darius Leonard behind them, and that's kind of your strength. But going forward, like, things have to change offensively more than defense, and I think it's very hard to point the blame at Frank Reich at this point. Mm-hmm. Like, I think, yes, quarterback decisions, terrible. We all get it. You can point that blame on him. And after that, it's like this team still isn't a finished product. It's not. It was close. It was very close when they had Phillip Rivers. Their defense was good. The O-line was superb. They had T.Y. Hilton, and they had Paris Campbell kind of in the rotation. They had Michael Pittman Jr. They kind of just drafted it, and it was kind of, you could see the bright light at the end of the tunnel of how good maybe this team could be. But since they've lost some weapons, they've lost some players, and they still haven't replaced them, it's gonna take another offseason to kind of maybe turn this thing around. We thought this year was going to be the time they turn around. Yeah, granted, a lot of people thought bringing in Matt Ryan was the right move. A lot of people thought that, it's all going to work out. But listen, we've noticed some major weaknesses that they have that we didn't anticipate. And now it's so blatant, it's so in your face that it's hard to ignore. So until that gets taken care of, until they get their quarterback, and who knows, maybe they have the guy on the roster now. We don't know. Sam Ehlinger is still in development phase. He's a guy that still needed development. We've seen flashes from him too. Look at last week. He was actually pretty good. The offense was running pretty well. Yeah, they lost, but still, you saw something in him where that maybe we could win games with him. So who knows what the future holds for Sam Ehlinger and the Colts, but things still do need to improve.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. I mean, and it's just crazy what a dumpster fire that team has been. And now, who thought it would get crazier than it is now, too, exactly with Jeff Saturday. And, again, I liked him as a player, and I think he's pretty good as an analyst, too. So I think he knows his stuff, so I wish him well with what they're going to do here. But, again, a guy who had a record before above 500. I think if this move happened earlier on, even in his career, when he was making some of those risky kind of fourth down decisions or something like that, too, because you remember him, people were calling him out sometimes that he would do that. Frank Reich, he'd go for it, or he'd do that, and people were like, well, why did you do that?
Yeah, not as often though.
Yeah, I know. I hear it not as often as anybody like Brandon Staley or anything, but that was a little more understandable. But the fact that all of a sudden just bad the way the team has just been playing together and poorly, in the quarterbacks and the offensive line, I don't think he was really exactly to blame on it. So, but it's the way it goes though. It's the way the cookie crumbles here.
The funny thing of all this is that Jeff Saturday's coming. He's going to be the head coach, but really, he's just a glorified, manager. Oh, really, is what it's all coming
He's
to.
The face, of it. So we'll see what happens with that. But we really appreciate you guys checking us out here tonight. We want to give thanks to one of our sponsors out there. That's Paul Perry Kitchens, PPK, there on Freeman's Bridge Road. Now's the best time to check them out, too, because they're in 2 locations on Freeman's Bridge Road, but they're going under construction and remodeling, so they're going to be all in one house at 115 Freeman's Bridge Road for custom kitchens, custom closets, replacements for glass, showers, custom showers, too, at the top of it. So go there, check them out, talk to one of their specialized designers there to get your special closet, your kitchen, whatever you want, especially with Christmas time coming up. Surprise the old wife with a nice walk-in closet with shoes everywhere and all that crap. So check them out there, paulperrykitchens.com or in Freeman's Bridge Road. Definitely do it pretty soon there in Freeman's Bridge Road because they are going to be doing work on that railroad right there for the next couple days. So check them out, or paulperrykitchens.com. So check them out. We really appreciate them. All right, so next, Joe, we've got a segment that we did a little bit a while ago again, but we're going to bring it out to you guys again. And that is what we call what the F is going on here with this one. So, what the fuck is going on? Yeah, That's right. That's what we call what the fuck is going on here. And that's where there's a few different teams here that we could say that about. You've got, teams that kind of been surprisingly bad this year and stuff. And like, what's the problem here? Teams that we thought maybe would make the playoffs again or things like that, or just continue their winning ways or get better. And they just haven't. And Paul Matty brought up the fact that he was at the Raiders in the Jaguars game here. So let's just start with your Raiders too, Joe. You're a Raiders fan here. What the fuck is going on with the Raiders here, dude?
It's real simple. It's coaching.
Crazy.
What's changed? Coaching. That's what's changed. When you had it last year, look at what the Raiders did last year. They had Derek Carr. They had one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL. They had Hunter Renfrow. Darren Waller played half the year. And they had, guess who their number one receiver was last year? Zay Jones.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Zay Jones was the number one receiver. So, I mean, right there, it tells you they had a much weaker offense. And they made the playoffs. They went to the wild card, and they damn sure came so close to beating the Bengals in the first round of the playoffs. So it's like when you go from that, and then you go to a much improved roster overall, you had improvement in the defensive backs. You've brought in a couple different linebackers. Defensive line-wise, you had Max Crosby. You brought in Chandler Jones. You brought in Bilal Nichols to play D-tackle. Then offensively, you somewhat improved the offensive line. You drafted Daniel Parham to play guard or center for you. You also had a late-round draft pick for the right tackle to perhaps be the starter there. Someone new, someone fresh. And they seem to have some kind of weird rotation of offensive linemen that Josh McDaniels himself has implemented, which is beyond me. And then look at the receivers, how much they improved. They traded for Devontae Adams, one of the best receivers in the game. They bring him to Las Vegas to pair him up with Waller, Hunter Renfrow, and they also bring in Mac Hollins, who's been really good, for them. And then, obviously Josh Jacobs in the backfield. And so then you look at that team and you're like, this team is going to compete for the division. This team is going to maybe, just maybe, have enough punch to beat the Chiefs and take over the division. And we've seen what we've seen, and that's what despite the roster being improved, what has changed? Coaching. Coaching has changed. If you took the same offense last year, the Gruden offense, basically, and you put it with this team, it's unstoppable. There's nothing you can do. Don't care how good of a defense you have, you're not going to stop them. You're going to be, and they're going to be like the poor man's Chiefs, basically. You know what I mean?
And you had your special teams coach, was it Ray Bisaccia? Is that what his name was? Rich Bisaccia. I mean, they seemed to get behind him, and they were winning, and they still made the playoffs because when he stepped in after the whole debacle and stuff.
But Rich Bisaccia was just he was just the interim head coach. He was just a guy that was managing the game.
But I mean, they still played better, right?
Yeah, but that's because Carr knew the offense. That's because Gruden's offense worked really well with the players, and then defensively, they were bad on defense. They were terrible on defense. So. You fast forward it to this year, and it's like, what's changed? Well, roster got better. We got new coaches. What's going on? The coaches are simply not doing what's best for the players on the football field. I mean, when you have Devontae Adams, when you have Derek Carr, who lit it up the second part of the year last year, was killing it. He played great for the Raiders. And everyone wants to point the finger every time there's a missed throw this season. Every time there's, what's happening? Well, honestly, it's the most difficult offense to learn. Every player has said it now publicly. Waller said it. Devontae Adams said it. Derek Carr said it. It's like learning Mandarin is what they said. So if that's the case, you're making it way too difficult for your players to be successful.
And Paul Matty says here, players not responding to the coaches either. And that's one thing about
and for the first time,
not only the playbook, but then responding
for the first time I've ever seen Derek Carr in a blatant argument on the sideline in the middle of the Jaguars game. Josh McDaniels and him were they were arguing. I've never seen anything like it from Carr.
I've got audio of that. Here it is, Joe.
Do it! No! God! Make your dreams come true! Please, no! Do it! No! Just no! Do it! No!
See, that's what right straight from the sideline.
That's it.
It was both of them arguing right
Perfect
there. Couldn't get
audio,
that.
too. I don't know how
was.
you caught that.
Hey, I got my sources, you know what I'm saying? And like you said, last year's defense, the defense has kind of been bad as you're going through, because I remember you would even complain about Gus Bradley and these guys that were running defenses, you know, for past few years here.
Yeah.
But still, even this year, the defense, 32nd in turnovers, 30th, you know, 27th, you know, for points for. I mean, still not getting it done here, but then now that offense struggling hasn't been able to help them. But the thing is, too, that's puzzling, because at times it seems like they're all right. 3 times this year, they've gone out to like a 20, 30-point lead, and then in the second half, they go to bed, they go to sleep, and then all of a sudden it's gone. What happened? What the hell
very
happened?
different, because the
and they're like
first half-
the new like you know, Atlanta Falcons get made fun of because of the 28-3, you know, in that Super Bowl. These guys are doing it consistently now.
Well, it's the first half. They're going out and trying to score points. Like they have plays and they're going to score points. The play calling is terrible in the second half. Second half, it's like Josh McDaniels, who calls the plays, is taking his foot off the gas. He's running a lot more. He's not like really calling the right plays to march down the football field to score a touchdown again. It's like, I don't know. He goes into a little shell in the second half in terms of play calling. It's terrible. There's no killer instinct there. And then if you ask McDaniels at the podium and during his pressers, he's just like, oh, well, you know, we're working on everything, and you know, we're gonna fix it. We're gonna get it right. It's just us trying to, you know, figure things out and come together as a unit and blah. All the cliche answers you can hear, he says. And it's like, dude, at some point, there's got to be frustration. And we've heard it from ownership. Mark Davis has had him in his office twice now in the middle of the season. And I don't know what they talk. Nobody does. But Mark Davis came out and basically kind of reassured Josh McDaniels' job and said, hey, he's going to be the head coach for years down the road and this, that, the other thing. I don't buy it. I when you had a team last year like you did, you conquered through so much adversity. Your coach getting, you know, resigning midway through the season. You know, Henry Ruggs, the former first-round draft pick who looked promising, gets into a major car accident, now goes to jail. You lose guys like that. So much adversity, and not only that, to play with the team that they had and to conquer and do what they were able to do and make the playoffs. Now you look at this team now, it's like, oh, it's a better team. They should do better. We're not seeing that.
And it's crazy, too. If you look at the targets to completions here with Devontae Adams, he's targeted 85 times and only 48 completions. And a guy that you thought would flourish in this offense, a guy like Hunter Renfrow, because you kind of the moves that he's got, he's really scrappy underneath type of slot receiver, fits what you think that like an offense that Josh McDaniels is going to run. Again, not really targeted as much, and this offense that, you know, when you looked at the Patriots, attacked, you know, the weakness of the defense, whatever it might be, you know, stay balanced, whether it be running or passing, still only to come up with so many yards and only 11 touchdowns, and then the 5 interceptions too on top of it, and the running game that's ranked what is that, 30th or 20th in the league. I mean, it's not very good, you know, and that's why you kind of grow stagnant, especially if you can't get those points here and you're having these turnovers. But like you said, even bringing in former players that has been in the system, and the players still aren't responding and buying in, that's a problem.
It's a huge problem, and it's something that you have to address as an owner.
And it's crazy,
you have
too.
to step in.
Yeah, and does it get better? Does it get changed? Because, again, like I said, at times you've seen them, they competed with the Chiefs. They only lost that game by 1, 30-29. So, I mean, in a game, divisional game, where you said even tough before these divisional games, and the Chiefs, look at the way they're playing right now. They're looking like one of the better teams, and people had questions about them losing Tyreek Hill, and they've done well this year still despite that. But then you face a team like New Orleans, who they're just trying to struggle, find their way.
They're injured.
Two of their major wide receivers out. Everything, banged up, and Andy Dalton, and they come in and they blank the Vegas Raiders. So I mean, it's very crazy. We're not sure. Again, it's coaching there and the disconnect. But
I'll tell you this,
what's going to go on for the future for these guys. How long is it going to last?
Despite what that stat says about the running game's the only thing that's keeping them in games. So I don't know how it's so low because Josh Jacobs is averaging over 120 yards a game.
No, it's just crazy. No, it's definitely lower in rankings along with the NFL. But
That's
I don't know.
crazy.
Yeah.
Last 2 games, he has over 300 yards.
Yep. Offense attempts 30th, and rushing yards 19th. So, and like I said, touchdowns 22nd. So that's what I was getting the 22nd from. But 30th again in attempts. So again, not really running the ball that much. And what it is Josh Jacobs, when he does, he's putting out those yards and getting bigger plays for them. But I don't know. Again, we'll see what happens with the Raiders. But it's definitely a head scratcher for me. I was definitely thrown off by this and surprised. I thought maybe they could, again, with the personnel that they had something better. And should be doing something better for them. But let's move on to the Arizona Cardinals here. I think of the Cardinals are another team where I've got to say, what the F's going on here with these guys, because if you looked at their records too as they were building, they're getting better too. And despite losing some of the players that they had last year, I still think they had enough to grow and do better. It looked like maybe Kyler Murray was kind of getting into his own, and then he had his playoff experience, didn't go so well, but maybe this year grows from it, moves on. And but no, the total opposite here again, and just failing to put up anything on offense really. And the defense lackluster altogether too. And Kyler Murray, now he's even banked up again, so who knows what's going on with that, but just not looking very good.
For the Cardinals, it's going to be different. The second half of the season is going to be much different, because you look at the first half of the season, they had a healthy offensive line, right? But who did they have for weapons? Hollywood Brown wasn't as consistent as they thought he would be in the offense. So there was a little bit of, miscommunication at times with those two, with Kyler Murray and Hollywood Brown. And then they didn't have their number one guy. They didn't have DeAndre Hopkins. That was the biggest deal, is because utilizing Hopkins changes this offense altogether. I know one guy doesn't make a team, but one guy makes that much of an impression against other defenses. So for Kyler Murray, he's been missing that go-to wide receiver. And now that Hopkins is back in the loop, now you're starting to notice this offense kind of trend upwards again. Kyler Murray is making things happen when there's nothing there. He's using his legs to get more yards. He's throwing it to DeAndre Hopkins more often and keep moving the chains that way. This is a team that is going to be one of those second half of the season teams where they're going to start making their run. Their defense has improved. It's not great, but it has improved because now the defenses they're not having to be on the football field that long anymore. The Cardinals are no longer going 3 and out in every single game that often. So you're looking at this team now. If they can get healthy on the offensive line front, though, they still have they're missing Rodney Hudson, their all-pro center. They're missing a couple of offensive line starters that they could really utilize right now, and they're still waiting to get them back. But when they do, you could really see this Cardinals team kind of take off in the second half of the season.
Yeah, again, you look at the defense, we're talking about it. Points for 31st in the league, and yardage 26th. Not doing so well there too. But the offense, again, even though, again, I'm saying, they're not pulling it out and getting some victories here, still ranked 16th and 17th. But Kyler Murray still having to try and do a lot on his own too, because, again, a lot of injuries. James Conner getting banged up a lot too this year too. And maybe just lack of some of those weapons, not being able to have that DeAndre Hopkins for most of the season. We'll see if they can turn it around here too, because, again, the hot seat is there. A lot of people have been asking about Cliff Kingsbury's job, especially if you look at his career as coaching here. Unlike Frank Reich's, he is below 500, and he's got a 27-30-1 record right now. So, again, if he can't turn this thing around too, could be short-lived, and who knows? Does that mean Kyler Murray goes along with him? Because, they did draft Josh Rosen, which that wasn't working out for them either, but he instantly, when he came in, he's like, I'm going to go with this guy right away as my, first pick here. Go get him to Kyler Murray. And they kind of got to, I guess, live and die together here, I guess, if that's what you're looking at.
Well, for Josh Rosen, that wasn't Cliff's guy.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, he already knew, he had his sights on Kyler Murray for the following draft, that's who he wanted. And he told ownership, he told the GM that if we can get him, if he comes out in the draft and we can get him, that's who I want. That's who I can win games with. He fits my offense perfectly, and it has worked. And for some of the stats that we're reading off right now, take them like a grain of salt, because that's for the whole season in its entirety. It's going to be a tale of two halves. So, yeah, they might have been one of the worst defensive teams in the first half. That can easily change in the second half of the season, because as they're getting players back from injuries and everything, that's going to change the schematic of this football team, and it's going to change how well they play going forward. We've already noticed a huge bump in this offense since Hopkins has returned. Despite not having their healthy offensive line, they've managed to move the ball now with Hopkins in the lineup. So Hollywood, unfortunately, sustained injury and he's left. But with Hopkins returning, that kind of generates this trust that Kyler Murray has in him, and they're able to open up doors that way.
Absolutely. So again, it's a lot of different questions here with some of these teams. We just got to ask, what the fuck's going on with these guys here? But, we don't ask that question about what the F's going on with these next guys. Joe is going to tell you guys about our friends at Mohawk Honda, Joe.
Mohawk Honda, that's our boys right there. Listen, Mohawk Honda is the shit. That's all I got to say. You'll be greeted with a smile and a tickle in your pants when you arrive at the store. The new vehicle inventory is enough to warm you up with pilots, passports, and Ridgelines. I mean, they're flocking in there to Mohawk Honda. Listen, if you need yourself a great winter vehicle, make sure you head down there and tell them that Football on the Nose sent you. Remember, this is the best time ever to sell your vehicle. It's just another advantage you get from the #1 volume dealer in the Capital Region. General Manager Greg Johnson and his team of sales consultants are always available to help you in the buying process. The seasons are changing, but at Mohawk Honda on Freeman's Bridge Road in Scotia, we always go out of our way to please you.
There you go. That's right. Mohawk Honda. We love that, Joe. I love it. I pulled an Anchorman moment on you, and you did it greatly. I loved it. That's amazing.
You know that Joe just reads from the teleprompter,
yeah,
right?
Exactly. It was amazing.
Doesn't change
but
anything.
It sounded good though, didn't it? It sounded really good. Like I think I would get a car from
It
Mohawk
sounded
Honda
better.
now, right? That's
It sounded
awesome.
a lot better.
Awesome, excellent. So yeah, we're still asking what the hell's going on with everything here with teams in. You got to say it too about the Los Angeles Rams too. Exactly, Joe. That's right. That's right.
This is one of those teams that we this is one of those teams that we thought coming in here, like, listen, they're former Super Bowl champions. What did they really lose, right? Did they lose enough to kind of change the schematic of the team this year? We didn't think so early on. We thought, like, okay, they brought Aaron Donald back. Remember, he was thinking about retiring. They're like, no, come back for one more year. Let's go for another one. Everything's all good. They still got Jalen Ramsey. They still got the kid Hill plays opposite Jalen Ramsey, who's really good, Troy Hill. They got some weapons still, And then, let's put some icing on the cake for that defense. Let's bring in Bobby Wagner. Add him to the team. Man, this team's looking pretty good. And then some offensively, veterans, you have Stafford coming back. You're like, okay, well, as long as we can protect him, he'll light it up, right? They brought in high-priced free agent Allen Robinson to the fold because there was no more Odell, no more Robert Woods, but they still got Cooper Kupp. Man, they could still make this thing happen, and they made some improvements where there was holes, and it's like, hey, as long as they can stay healthy, man, this team is going to be legit again, right? No, not really.
Pile of shit.
So now what we're noticing from the Rams is that offensive line has been critically hammered with injuries. The interior of that O-line is just terrible, The communication at the center is horrendous. He's not picking up the blitzes at times. He's not making the right calls at the line, the right blocking schemes and what have you. So this O-line is in disarray. And does that mean for Stafford? Well, not a whole lot of time to throw the ball. And we've seen that thus far in this season where he's being rushed to either throw the ball or trying to create time with his legs, which we all know he's not that fast. And it's just to no avail. They're not getting anywhere. They're trying to establish a run game at times, but teams are just not tricked by it. They're like, oh, no, we're going to stop their run. We want Stafford to throw because we get to pin our ears back and come right after him. And Allen Robinson, where the hell's he been? But I don't know if it's Sean McVay's offense. I don't know if it's the play calling. Is the play calling that much in love with Cooper Kupp? Because we've seen Cooper Kupp be targeted like almost every single play, and Robinson is nowhere to be found. He hasn't had an impactful game yet this season where you took some of the pressure off of Cooper Kupp. That's why he was brought in to kind of alleviate that pressure, and it's just not working out in LA. So defensively, I feel like the defense is affected because the offense can't put up points. I feel like the defense for the Rams is always on the football field quite often, and they're just, I gotta say it, Ramsey is playing like dog shit. He's terrible. Like, he claims to be the best corner in the league. I don't buy it anymore. I used to when he was a Jaguar. I said, okay, yeah, he could be one of the best. But now as a Ram, he looks like he gets turned around often. He can't find his own player at times. So I think overall, Ramsey's decline is actually also hurting this team. I mean, you can be in love with him as much as you want, but listen, the evidence is there. When you see these better receivers that he goes up against, look at Stephon Diggs made him look bad this year. You know what I mean? Some of these high-profile receivers, or even a good receiver, is making them look bad. So
You're
overall,
ugly, you are disgusting. I'm
this
gonna kill you.
Rams
Give me
team
$200.
is just not all together.
Yeah. I mean, when you talk about the defense has been playing good despite what the offense is doing. But you get, like you said, being out there the whole time, they've been keeping them in the games. What do you know about the Rams games? They've been really low scoring. You know, they've been boring as hell. You know what I mean? Because there hasn't been so many scoring, stuff like that. And this team has kind of kept them in there. If you look at their yardage, the defense is ranked 8th overall, and they're first in first down, so they're eliminating people from getting first down, so they're getting these stops. But it's not turning into anything when it goes back to the offense. No. You know what I'm saying? And again, they're stopping the run. They're ranked 4th all the way across the board against the run. So they're stopping some of these things and keeping it going, adding Bobby Wagner, adding those veterans there, and getting that defense there. It seems like, hey, we have this issue here with trying to replace our Von Miller with this guy. With them, I think we're good. We're there. That's all we need. The offense will figure itself out still. And that's where you got the problem. Again, you lost people in offensive line, not having, somebody like Whitworth there, too,
No
on your
Boom went
left
down with an
tackle, too.
injury.
Yep, and not having that, you're not giving Stafford a whole lot of time, and it's really reminiscent of when he was with the Detroit Lions, having an issue. And then, so what does he do? I resort to just giving it to my number one guy that I trust and just beat bound up because I don't know Allen Robinson for shit right now. So, maybe I can get him open. He's started to now finally warm up to him a little bit. But again, when you have no time, he's not going to be able to do it because, like you said, he's not exactly a guy that's going to take off running on you, and they're not afraid of him doing anything like that. And he's fairly injury prone too. So what are teams going to do? Try and pin their ears back and try and hit him and knock him out a little bit too, and get him down. So much now too. You're looking at it this week, and now he's under concussion protocol. So he will not be playing this week.
Well,
so.
he's in jeopardy of not playing. He's got to pass the concussion protocol this week.
Yeah, so we might even see, was that Wolford, the guy that was their backup here? So
actually, he's not bad. He's not bad.
He did okay when he was in there for him, what was it, last year or before? But this is what you're facing now, and this is what happens. And like what we talked about a little bit last week too, I think with Sean McVay, with a guy that is supposed to be this offensive guru, and this guy that knows the X's, O's, everything, photographic memory or whatever, and stuff. Can't do something to eliminate some of these issues. Can't get that offense going even with the running game. Mix it up. Different schemes to get it to somebody other than just Cooper Kupp. I mean, if you look at the offense, they're ranked 29th and 31st. I mean, did you ever think that would happen out of Sean McVay offense, with the way they talk him up so much the fact that, Jared Goff wasn't enough of a quarterback for him. They went out and get Matthew Stafford to get them to the promised land last year, and now they're a whole different team this year. Just defense still good, but that offense is a shell of its former self.
Well, what does that tell you, though? It tells you that your offensive line's terrible. I mean, really, that's what it is.
What does that tell you then, even with some of these as quarterbacks then, too? offensive line is key. If
It's
Tom
been
Brady
key.
never had a great offensive line, is he even going to be Tom Brady?
No, it's not. Nobody is going to be anybody. Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning. Like, if we think about like all the great quarterbacks that have played in this league, nobody is going to be anything special. If you don't have a decent to good offensive line in front of you, it doesn't matter how great you are. You're not going to be able to execute some of the plays that you want to do, that you want to execute. It's that simple. So no, Brady wouldn't even been in existence by now.
Right.
He wouldn't even be in football. Like, if that was the case, because why? He'd get so beat and battered by a terrible old line that his body wouldn't hold up.
Right. And
We've
like you
seen
said,
it.
that running
We've seen it
game's
with
terrible.
David Carr. David Carr is a perfect example. Drafted really high. Everybody thought the world of David Carr coming out. He's going to be one of the better quarterbacks in this league. But he went to the worst team in football that didn't even have an offensive line to protect him. Every down he was getting beat up. I mean, hit hard every time. So he didn't last long.
No, he didn't. Yeah, he became a backup pretty quickly.
So,
for many teams.
For
but-
every single team in this league, what's something that you have to have? You have to have great offensive and defensive line play. You have to have great lines. If you don't, you see the good teams. They have them. Bad teams don't have them.
Right. And even to be well in one phase, we'll say even if you don't have the best pass defense type of guys,
Okay,
at least be
yeah.
able to pound the rock. These guys have neither. I mean, they're 31st across the board in rushing altogether. So even when they don't make attempts, but when they do, they're not getting anywhere still. So you're kind of having those guys like Cam Akers out there. And they even had Sony Michel at one point, too. I mean, good guys that were good running backs. Henderson, too, can even pull off some runs here, too. And the fact that you don't even try and go to that a
Establish a
little
run.
more, even if they stop you a few, switch it up, put both backs there at the same time, make them guess, do a wildcat, something to change it up, give it something different that these other teams, the defenses haven't seen. Because right now they're looking at film and they're saying, well, these guys never run the rock at all. And if they do, they go 90% here, like down the middle. So we're going to just stop that and then we'll go. You know
It's funny that you mentioned Wildcat because we saw the Rams do that this past week. And it was the first time I seen them do it. But I feel like this week, a lot of teams were doing it
they have
close to the goal line. And it like the Saints do it often because they have
Taysom Hill.
Taysom Hill. They and then you see other teams with like just their running back. The Panthers did it too. With Deontay Foreman, and it's like
You know,
all
Titans
these
have been doing it
teams.
a little bit, you know,
And
for a while.
it's almost like a giveaway though. Like I'm surprised
At times,
I'm
yes.
surprised defenses don't like, oh well, who's at quarterback? Well, it's not the quarterback, so most likely 90% of the time it's a run. It could be a run by the receiver,
and he's keeping
but
it.
it's a run.
Yeah.
And it's like they're just still confused. But yeah, but we've seen it a little bit, you know. But you're right. The Rams, they do not run enough, and I understand because they don't have their offensive linemen up front. They don't have them, so they have a not necessarily they're a fear of running the football, but they kind of already predetermined that. Well, if we run it 9 times out of 10, we're not going to get anywhere. You know what I mean? Between the tackles. And maybe that might be true, but you still have to try. You still have to keep the defense on their heels to like, oh, they're still going to try that. You know what I mean?
Right.
You got to challenge the defense. If you don't challenge them, as good as Sean McVay is as an offensive mind, you have to continue to challenge the defense, even if it is a weakness for you. You got to keep them honest. So, I mean, and we saw one of the worst play calls of that Tampa Bay game for Sean McVay. The Rams got the ball back with a couple minutes, I don't know, 3 or 4 minutes left, I think, in the game. They had the lead. All they had to do is keep the ball and get that first down to keep the clock going.
Yeah.
Keep the clock going. Get the first down. What do? Run it up the middle. Nothing. Run it up the middle again. Nothing. Now it's 3rd and long. Now it's 3rd and 11, 3rd and 12. I forgot exactly what it was, but it was 3rd and long. And it's like, now what are you going to do? Well, you don't want to risk throwing a pick now. So you did some kind of a trick play, and that didn't work. Now you're punting the ball back to Tom Brady,
Tom Brady
with a couple minutes which is like an eternity.
Yeah.
And you didn't do your job as a play caller. You didn't do your job as an offense to keep the ball as long as you possibly can and keep running that clock. Now you turn it over to Brady. And Raheem Morris, I'm calling you out now. Defensively, what did you do? Well, we're going to play soft zone. We have 2 corners that are more than capable of playing man, but we're going to play a soft zone. We're going to not only play soft zone, we're going to play like 12 yards away from the receivers. That's where our starting point is. So we're not going to let you throw it deep, Tom. I don't know why they were concerned about that, but we're not going to let you throw deep on us. Yeah. But we'll give you 7 yards every play with like 2 seconds of a play clock, 3 seconds of a play clock, and get out of bounds. We'll let you do that. Boom, 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 right down the field. They let them go right down the field and right in scoring opportunity. And wouldn't you know, penalty happened. They got it right at the 1. Right about when they were done. It was 4th down. They went for it. Penalty. Oh, Jesus. Here we go. Another opportunity. Ran a play. Cade Otton, the tight end, the rookie tight end, wide open. Nobody even covered him.
Nope.
Little easy touchdown. End of game. I just don't understand how the Rams go from one of the most impressive teams last year. And I understand players change. The team did change a little bit. But where's that killer instinct? Where is the tenacity that you once had as a franchise? I didn't see it against Tampa Bay.
Absolutely. So there you go. The Rams.
You just made the list.
You just made the list. Again, in Joe's list, again, looking at Raheem Morris, said both of those guys, Sean McVay, the way they treated again.
They blew it.
They blew it. Absolutely. And we hate to see it when they go that prevent defense, given all that room. That's what he wants you to do. You just fed right into it. It's very frustrating as a fan and somebody to watch it all the time.
When we watched Tom Brady in his glory days in New England, a lot of teams kept playing zone against him, and he would tear them apart, right?
He's openly said that he loves
He said
zone.
He hates man.
Yeah.
He can't stand it because now the windows are so tight that he's got to fit the ball in. Not that he can't do it, but it makes it that much more difficult.
Yeah.
And it was like, I thought, oh, this is easy. Like, okay, it's unfortunate. Now you got to play defense. You got to hold on to the lead. But I was like, oh, you got to play man all day long against this team. You have to. And they just didn't. They just gave up everything.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, we're talking about what the fuck's going on with a lot of these teams here. That's right. So we got one more team here with this segment here, and it's got to be the Green Bay Packers on this one here, Joe. I mean, the Green Bay Packers, that's probably one of the biggest too, despite even the Rams and what's going on are the returning champions. But the Green Bay Packers.
I would say this about the Packers, though. Honestly, everybody made it a huge deal that Adams wasn't going to be there, and they weren't really sure how well the offense was going to be despite getting Rodgers back. And, okay, I could see it being it's surprising, but also for the people that were disbelievers, it kind of made sense. You know what I mean? It's like kind of like a tweener team, I would call it, for what the fuck is going on. Because I didn't pay too much attention. Okay, they lost Adams. I'm like, yeah, but I understand Adams is that great. But the Packers did make a couple of moves. Granted, in the draft, they grabbed a couple of receivers. They were hoping to develop them with Randall Cobb, with Allen Lazard coming back from injury. And they thought they could make it work. On top of that, Robert Turbin was coming back from injury as well. So it's like, okay, if they utilize Robert Turbin and Allen Lazard and they have Cobb, and it's like they can maybe teach these younger guys, maybe kind of bring them up through the ranks, maybe they could make it work. Wow. All I have to say, it's been a combination of offensive line injuries, because early in this season, they did not have David Bakhtiari. Right. They did not have Elton Jenkins. So those were 2 key tackles of theirs that they needed, and they weren't there early on. So you could sense, okay, they're struggling because where's the protection, right?
Right.
Rodgers doesn't have time. He's trying to do what he can, and it's just not working. Then they get those guys back, and it seems like they still continue to struggle to get the ball down the field, get the ball into the receiver's hands. And when they do, half the time these receivers are dropping the football on Rodgers. And it's like, wow, are you kidding me? Like, what is happening with this team? This is a very different offense than we're used to. And Rodgers is he's made it very well known, extremely frustrated with where they are at as a franchise and where these receivers, how far how they haven't been fully developed just yet, or developed enough to make an impact on the football field.
Yeah, and you've seen even a different Rodgers too, though. I mean, again, because you've seen when he gets pressured, he kind of does the right thing. We'll throw it away or whatever. This year, he seems like he's forcing it into coverage so much too. When he gets a guy in his face, stuff like that, like trying. Like you see
Trying
it
to make
with
something happen.
Make something happen. You've seen it with some of these other quarterbacks that we punish all the time, like Carson Wentz and things like that, and say, "Oh, I'm getting pressure. I got nothing, but it's all on me, so I got to do this." And then you do a dumb bonehead thing. We saw it last week. Terrible interceptions. And it's like, this is so unlike Aaron Rodgers, and the fact that this could happen to him, without, because he's dealt with some injuries on the offensive line.
For sure.
David Bakhtiari is injured like every year, for multiple weeks at times. This year it just seems like excessive. But again, he's been able to pull through, and he's been having to deal with being hit and sacked. I mean, he's had multiple seasons where he's got sacked 50-plus times, and he's been able to have a winning record and still the great stats that he has.
Right.
But if you look at it this year, look at his career stats or his stats here in 2022, it's 64%, which is 65%, which is still good. He's got 2,000 passing yards. But this is the key thing here. He's known for not turning the ball over, and he's not scoring touchdowns. He's got 14 and 7 INTs for a rating of 89, Joe. I mean, this is unlike an Aaron Rodgers. And if you look at even his stats from like 3 years ago, it's a total different story here. And let me look at it quick. Oh, sorry. Here we go. It's like the last 3 years, and including his MVP year, 2 years. Here it is: completions, 1,091 out of 1,626. That's 67%. So that's an uptick. 12,000 passing yards. But look at the touchdowns: 111 touchdowns to only 13 INTs, and 109 rate. That is insane. I mean, that's what he's kind of used to. In those seasons, he went with 13 wins there those seasons. So what really has been the drastic difference? He's getting sacked 20 times this season so far again. So that's a little higher than last year, but not that much. So still getting the pressure on him. But is it the fact that just he hasn't had a Devontae Adams, somebody that he can rely on? And when he is getting the ball out, the drops, the things like that, so that he figures like, I'm just going to throw it out there and we'll see what the hell happens. Maybe one of you guys get it. I don't even know if I see you over there.
He's giving his receivers an opportunity to make a play, much like he did with Devontae. Devontae just made the plays, and these guys just aren't as good as Devontae. It's that simple. But when you see him to try to make those plays happen, it's for a reason. He's trying to give them the opportunity to make a play. It's not Rodgers is making a poor decision. It's he believes that his receivers should win no matter what. Just like when Devontae was there, that's his belief. So he's trying to trust these receivers. He's trying to give them an opportunity to make a big play, and they're just not doing it for him. I will note this, too, is that they did change in the interior of that offensive line as well. No more Corey Linsley. He's not there. They're center for a long time. And I wonder, I don't know, but I'm just kind of curious. When you make that big change from having a veteran center for a long time, he's been there for you. He's made all the right, checks and balances at the line of scrimmage. You change that player, it's going to change how that young player sees things. And maybe he's not making all the right, correct calls at the line. So, which in terms, you look at Rodgers trying to create more room or getting sacked more often than not than we're used to. So that could be also a part of why this offense is stagnant at this point. The one kind of like gleaming sparkle in Green Bay was Romeo Doubs, a young rookie who seemed to be coming on, made some great catches, and then Rodgers was starting to really trust him, throwing touchdown passes to him and whatnot, making some difficult catches at times. But now, sadly, has gone down with an injury. Looks like he might not return this season. And that kind of, it's like, hey, next man up mentality, and let's see if these guys can take another step forward. The other thing that I want to bring up too is like I have to question Matt LaFleur because it's his offense. Him and Rodgers have been working together for a long enough now where they understand each other, but I almost wonder that the play calling, he kept it the same. as if Devontae was there. I wonder if they didn't change it due to the personnel that they have now. So because you don't have a Devontae, now you got to make some opportunities happen elsewhere. Utilize Robert Turbin more often as a receiving tight end. They still use Alan Lazard. Obviously, he's their go-to guy when he's out there. But Cobb, when he comes back, like, he's got to be part of this whole ordeal. Christian Watson's got to be brought up in the ranks and start to be, utilized more. So I just don't know if, because part of this whole plan that they had going forward, I don't know if LaFleur has called the game differently based on his personnel, or if he's still trying to make things happen as if Devontae's still there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think one thing that kills them, first of all, turnovers. That because they're getting yardage,
of course.
They're getting there.
Course. But
then also in the red zone, again, they're ranked 26th in the NFL for in the red zone, so they're not getting there, especially in the run game, and not being able to pound the rock in like they've been able to do. Because Aaron Jones would be able to get some runs out there. It seems like A.J. Dillon's not really as effective as he's been in the past
anymore,
here.
No.
So so you take away that 1-2 punch kind of tandem that they used to be doing here. They could rely on to maybe alleviate some of that pass pressure and not getting to the red zone and not being able to put up those points here and keeping these other teams in it still. And then those turnovers at crucial moments just pulls it out, and then they can't win here.
And you mentioned Aaron Jones, and this is the unfortunate thing too, is that Aaron Jones is going to miss significant time right now with an injury. Don't know if he's going to be able to come back after 4 weeks, or it might be a little bit longer, but he's going to sit out some time. And now it's come to the point where, like, now A.J. Dillon is still struggling. So now you're going to have to utilize on the guys, the backups. There is a rookie running back that they drafted this past year. They're hoping that he can kind of maybe light a spark, get something going as a running back for them on the ground. So they're going through some more turmoil. Aaron Jones is not going to be able to play. So it's like, when's it going to get better? And it seems like, listen, I got to say this, the Packers defense, despite what they've had to endure, they've been playing lights out.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah, Packers are losing games, but this defense with Jair Alexander returning now as their starting corner, definitely shutdown corner type of player. And they are really starting to bring the heat. They are playing great football defensively. They are stopping opponents. It's hard to run. It's hard to pass on them. And they're doing their job. But the offense with Aaron Rodgers, they still got to figure things out.
Yeah, they've definitely been number one, number two in against the pass. Not so much on the opposite side against the run. But, again, ranked 15th overall, 6th in yards. So to getting it done there and keeping them in the games, that's what I mean, keeping these games close. But when that offense stagnant and can't get it, you can't. You bend and then you finally break here, and you can't get it done.
Unfortunately, I will say this: that this past week the defense did take a little bit of a hit. Rashawn Gary went down with an injury as well. So yeah, Aaron Jones on offense, Rashawn Gary on defense is done. It may be season ending for Rashawn Gary, and he's actually been an impressive. He's been an impressive defensive player for the Packers since being drafted. Converted from DN to linebacker to fit in their scheme, and lost a lot of weight and trimmed down, and he's been flying all over the football field. He's been tremendous.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, we'll see what happens with them. But I often, too, think about different things, body language, and again, and I'm not jumping to conclusions altogether, though, too. But when you think about the offseason that Aaron Rodgers has had, the fact that even last year, we'll say when he was dealing with COVID, he's changed a different lifestyle, too. I mean, he's taking herbal supplements. He's on a lot of different, a spiritual, whatever it is, end up a different lifestyle.
Ayahuasca.
He's got the ayahuasca there. And then, again, he took a herbal supplement or whatever to be immunized for COVID or whatever. But he was already kind of short-tempered before, though, too. But did he say when he had those losing streaks earlier on, he was famous for saying that,
relax.
Relax. He's not relaxing right now, Joe.
No,
he's super stressed out. He's super freaking out. And when you do that, and no offense again, when you're on drugs and maybe that you're a drug addict, you blame other people. You get mood swings. You get super frustrated. And again, it's not your fault. You feel like you're by yourself. And I'm sorry, I am kind of putting parallels to some of this. And it's not even like the fact that maybe, and I'm not saying he's on, crack or whatever, stuff like that. But
no, he's
maybe
not.
certain the things he's doing, though, maybe whatever it is changing his mood, though, too. And maybe the fact that he was away from the game, maybe doesn't have the same type of love for the game either. It's a different type of stress that maybe he's dealing with now, with the addition of his different lifestyle that he's been through now. And the fact that he doesn't have, weapons here on it, because that adds to it.
I just
people
think
when they all of a sudden dive into alcohol a lot in there, and they go from just drinking a few drinks, and then they're an alcoholic, their mood swings more. Life is terrible, blah, 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 and this, and it's not my fault. It's that person's fault.
But I mean,
there's a lot of parallels here. I'm just saying.
We
I'm just
looked into the
Hayaska.
We looked into Hayaska, and it doesn't have mood swings. I mean, I think this is more about Rodgers being a perfectionist and demanding results. Listen, this is a guy that they had to talk to come back to Green Bay. Said, hey, you come back. We're going to make some changes like you want. We're going to add some receivers to the roster like you want. We're going to make things work for you. Come back, come back, come back. He agreed to come back, and he's not seeing the results that he was promised. That's where you could see the big frustration on him. You're seeing a different persona on the football field, a very much aggravated quarterback, a very much, displeased leader on the football field in his team and his execution on the football field. So, yeah, I just think it's one of those things where, like, they convinced him to come back, and he's not being able to distribute the football like he normally does. I mean, that's could be as simple as that, too.
Mm-hmm. Winners don't use drugs.
Winners don't use drugs, though, either, Joe. All right, so there you go. So that's our what
Except
the
for
F
injuries.
is going on situation here with everybody. So, I mean, again, a lot of different teams that were in the playoffs last year, and it looked like they were trending upwards or at least staying with one of the upper echelons. It's trending downwards right now and having a lot of problems, a lot of issues, a lot of things going on in the locker rooms.
Different
and stuff
things.
Like that.
And this
it's
is
just crazy.
This is the other part of it, too, and this is what makes our jobs, Jim, extremely difficult, is because we try to predict how well these teams are going to play in the offseason.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So now we're starting to see full spectrum of what they're going through now at this point in the season, what are their weaknesses and their pros and cons, and it's quite shocking, to be honest.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. What's not shocking is the value in service that you get from Colorize. That's one of our sponsors too, as well, Joe. That takes care of us. And in the December month, pretty soon we're going to have a cool giveaway involving Colorize. So I can't wait for that. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Colorize, the paint professionals. Yes, they are Benjamin Moore dealers, but you know what? With them being just an independent dealer, they also have access to almost everything paint and finish related. They've got 3 stores in Clifton Park, Niskayuna, and Queensbury. Opening soon is Troy, so we're looking for that one. And like I said, service, they can serve everyone, to the paint professional, to the do-it-yourselfer out there. Anything you need, I call my guys there. My man Brett, he takes care of me. Got a paint project of my own going on right now, and they're right there to give me the best advice here to try and help out, especially because it's getting colder right now, too. Hey, you got some paint that'll dry in like 40, 50-degree weather right now. You know what I'm saying? Overnight,
exactly.
and that maybe if it rains on it, it's not going to peel it right off, too. Give them a call, check them out, or check out one of their stores, or go to mycolorize.com. Colorize, the right paint, color, and advice from local professionals who care.
Let's go.
Boom. All right, and let's go. Joe, the competition's hot and heavy still.
It is hot and heavy.
We went 10-3 last week, so we tied again
We're
despite
killing
the
it.
difference again. So we're bouncing back now.
We're killing
after this 500 start. But there we
Let's
are.
go.
Still only one game ahead here, but we're right there. It's tight. We're 78-56, 77-57 ones. We're still beating my Tackett too, which made me start to think here, Joe. We are doing the competition where the loser has to drink alcohol out of this thing here at the end of the season after the Super Bowl, and it is a lot of fun. It's a big party, but Mike Tackett's been following along with us.
He has
this
been.
whole time.
So I have to say this, though.
What's up?
Mike Tackett, if you're listening, if you're watching, you're included in this contest now.
Oh, see?
So because he's been so consistent in making picks, he's been picking right along with us throughout the season, we have to include him.
That's true.
And anybody else out there as a know-it-all that wants to, come on in and join in even midway through the season. Let's do it. Let's see what we can do.
I heard Cody starting in and stuff like that, but I haven't heard from him in a little while. So I don't know if
Cody's
he's
sleeping.
doing good or not.
He's
so
probably
not sure.
sleeping.
Yeah, maybe, perhaps. But I was thinking it, Joe. I was thinking we've got two things here,
We do.
right?
Yeah.
So maybe, and we got time to think.
Okay.
We've got, where's the Super Bowl this year? Is it going to be in Miami? I can't remember where it is this year.
Oh, man,
I'm
that's
trying
a
to
good
remember,
one.
but I want to say
me look it
maybe
up.
last year was Miami. But either way, we do have wonderful sponsors that take care of us.
We do.
I was
Great
thinking,
sponsors.
I was first thinking maybe a Zoom, like have Mike with us during that show.
Yes.
But what if
But-
even at best case scenario, we could maybe even travel to Florida
Ooh, Florida.
for the
baby.
Super Bowl, and then even and then hang out with them after,
Yeah, bud.
and the two losers have to drink, whether it's you and me, or you
Right.
and Mike, or me and Mike,
Gotcha,
and
gotcha,
Mike and Mike.
gotcha.
or
I like it.
yeah, how about that? Get him involved or whatever. And then right now he's got a losing record right now, so that's so I think maybe what pointed me to this one. I'm like, how about we get Mike Tackett a little sauce here with one of us?
It'd be the
and I
most
think it'd be a lot of
entertaining
fun.
show to watch
Yeah, right?
of the year.
Yeah, people would be excited. I think they would watch that right now. So yeah, they're applauding right
Definitely
now. I mean, that's a great idea, right?
Yes,
But
sir.
maybe we'll look forward into that. Maybe we'll talk to him and get him involved in that situation, and maybe that would be part of the deal now. Like you said, he's involved in it. He's been doing it every week, so technically he's involved in the competition. So I think he's got to risk something then too. You would think, right?
Definitely.
All right, so it is our picks, Joe. Did you find out?
Oh,
where it's gonna
yeah. So the Super Bowl, the big game, will be held at the State Farm Stadium in Glendale,
be? Glendale,
Arizona.
That's where it was. I knew it was someplace warm again. Arizona,
Sunday,
bang.
February 12th,
Saying.
2023.
Well, what's funny is if Tom Brady's in that one, he can't win there. So it's going to be then I'm going to bet against the whatever, Tom Brady or whatever
That's
the
it.
other
Just
team
bet.
is. So that's an easy
Put
one.
it in there.
That's an easy one there. So here we go. Let's get to the picks. We've got the Atlanta Falcons at the Carolina Panthers. Carolina Panthers had a lucky streak here. They were fighting hard. They fought hard last week, though, still, too.
They did.
But just could not
And-
muster out a win here.
And the funny thing is, P.J. Walker was a starter, but then went down with injury. Here comes Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
2 touchdown passes. He's like, nope, you're not taking my job. I'm coming back.
Right?
Funny thing is that even though Baker came back last week and he played, he did okay. He got 2 touchdown passes, what have you. But Sam Darnold has now been pulled off the IR.
Boom.
He is coming back to the roster. And what does that mean for this week?
yeah.
Will Baker still be the starter, or will Sam sneak in and take it away?
Yeah, who knows? Yeah, they give everybody a shot, I guess, right, at this thing still, right? I mean, because, again,
Hey.
it's no longer Matt Rules. So
I'm-
whatever, dude. You're not
exactly.
expected to do much. You're
Exactly.
the interim coach right now. Let's
Imagine-
feel it out, see what we have.
Imagine this. Sam comes back, and listen, the last time Sam Darnold was the quarterback before his injury was killing it with this team. Granted, they had Christian McCaffrey then too, but Deontay Foreman has been playing admirably well for them at the running back position. If Sam Darnold comes back and starts winning games for the Panthers with what they have now, ooh boy, Steve Wilkes might play himself into a new head coaching gig.
Yeah, let's see what they do here. But the Atlanta Falcons, they've been a big surprise this year, too, and playing hard.
Yes. Playing hard.
So this
Very
is a tough
hard.
Divisional matchup here. Carolina's at home, but again, a lot of questions there for me. I think Atlanta's been really rocking and rolling. It's a bad Amazon game again, but I'm going to go with the Atlanta Falcons here on this one.
This actually might turn out to be a good game.
Let's see.
Depending on
You know
who,
what's cool is you get to maybe see more of the Atlanta Falcons. I don't know how much TV time they really get, so get to see them in like a prime time.
Well, think
It'd be
about where
pretty
we're
cool to check 'em out.
located.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I know,
Like,
for us,
We're
you know.
Northeast. We don't get to see too many Atlanta Falcon games, but I did watch the Falcons play the Chargers this past week, and I'll say this. Like, they had the Chargers on the ropes. They should have won that game
yeah.
easily.
Yep.
But, hey, that's why you play all the way to the end. But, yeah, so for this game, Panthers, because I'm not certain who the quarterback's going to be, like, I honestly would say, like, if Darnold was quarterback, I could easily pick the Panthers. But with Atlanta, I know what they're bringing. Marcus Mariota, Kyle Pitts. Where the hell's been Drake London been? It's almost like he's disappeared out of this offense. But Cordero Patterson is back.
Yes.
And he made a splash on the scene last week. So I'm going to go with Atlanta as well.
All right, we've got the rocking and rolling Seattle Seahawks here, the unstoppable force in Tampa Bay at home
Not in
here
Tampa.
now.
Not in Tampa.
No,
this
that's
is in
right.
Germany.
Again, it's going to be in the German game.
Oh,
South
boy.
German. That's why they have it as versus and not at right there. So
Tom Brady, how are you going
Yeah,
to?
somebody said that somebody need to get some
What are you going to
beer
do?
and
What are you going to eat out there,
That's
Tom?
true.
Like you got to watch
I
out.
know.
The carbs is crazy
That's true.
out there.
That is true.
Pretzels. How can you turn down a
A lot of
Bavarian
grease.
pretzel?
He's probably going to get a chef traveling with him and to make him his stuff that he wants,
Make me my avocado ice
yeah,
cream
yeah,
from
exactly.
scratch.
Yeah, so that's right. It's going to be in Germany. So early 9:30 game. Seattle traveling
So
a ways
early.
too here for this one.
Yeah.
So this could be an interesting matchup. We get to see little Germans get down with some football here, Joe, which they're big. Like Mike Tackett, another guy who knows the German leagues and stuff like that
Yep.
out there. He shares all their championship games and stuff like that.
That's right.
They love it. They love the game of football. So what's going to happen here with Tampa Bay? Tampa Bay barely edging out that victory, and it was
Wow.
stagnant. They were stagnant in that game.
Both
Again,
teams were.
Both teams were bad, but again, it's like nobody wanted to win it. But still, the Rams had it the whole time, and then that's when you give it up at the end. You
Oh,
give
man.
them that Tom Brady
Ugh.
moment, and you see how relieved he was at the end of the game. He's like, "Wow!"
He's like, I can't believe we
we
won.
just did that. Yeah, yeah.
You see him hug Byron
Yeah, yeah,
Leftwich
he's
at the
like,
game. He's
"Oh,
like,
yeah,
oh,
we did this." Like,
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah.
You never seen Tom Brady so vulnerable before. He's like, "Oh my goodness, this is great something." I'm winning for once.
Huge sense of relief from Tom Brady. He's like, oh, with the divorce, with all my world crumbling down, I needed this.
Yeah, I mean, Seattle, it's been a good, feel-good story again for Geno Smith again. It would be
Yeah.
great. I would love it if the Seattle Seahawks could come out of here with a victory again, but I think I'm still going to just roll with Tom Brady and the personnel that they got stuff here, Mike Evans, and so I'm going to go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on this one.
Yeah, I mean, with Tampa Bay, like, and this is the thing, and this is what's scary. This is kind of what is letting teams in all the games against Tampa Bay is because Tom Brady doesn't have the best offensive line anymore. Like, they're deteriorated on the inside of that offensive line, which is the worst spot for Tom Brady because does not want any pressure up the middle on him. So, and the crazy thing too is Mike Evans. What are you doing, bro? Like, why are you dropping footballs when you're open? I mean, I don't know what's happening with Mike Evans either. Like, he's a different player all of a sudden. And not to mention Chris Godwin, formerly like one of the best receivers you could see on his way being labeled as one of the best in the league at what he does. But man, returning from ACL injury, he doesn't look the same either. So this team, this offense doesn't look that great. They're heavily injured on the defensive side of the ball, and it's still going to continue coming into this week. Seattle, on the other hand, they are much healthier. I love the playmaking players that they got on defense. Very young group of guys. And Geno Smith, I can't believe how well he's playing this year. But he's making it happen. And the emergence of Kenneth Walker III, the rookie, the running back. Look for the Seattle to ground and pound Tampa Bay. And I think Seattle's going to come away with the win.
Oh, nice. Excellent. All right, we got the Minnesota Vikings and the Buffalo Bills here. Now, this is going to be a tough one, too, because, again, we're hearing the news about Josh Allen being day-to-day with his injury. Minnesota, again, in these tough games, again, they're still, they got the record that they do, but some of these teams that they're playing in, good teams, you think you should be able to stop some of these guys better than what they have been. They've been barely edging out and having these comeback victories.
Right.
But really, it's been kind of like a bonding experience for these guys. You keep seeing the parties that they're having on the planes and the locker rooms after the fact, after these wins. So I think it's really having them gel together as a team with the new coaching staff and stuff like that.
Yep.
And they stick into the same formula. Run the rock with Dalvin Cook, and then get it to the explosive players that you have here on the offense. So. And defense, like you said, in multiple weeks, that has been playing good and keeping these guys in this game to be able to pull out those victories here. But Buffalo, they're a tough team to beat. Again, the depth that they have, but they had injuries last week that kind of hindered them here. So it all judges, I think, on if Josh Allen's going to play in this game for me. I mean, it's going to be a tough one.
Well, just so you know, Josh Allen is not on the injury report. So that's a very good sign.
It's a good sign.
He's not even on the sign. He's not even on the report. So it doesn't seem like that elbow is bothering him too much.
All right, so what do you got in this one?
So this is simple for me. Like, Buffalo is home. Buffalo is going to make a statement this game. I think regardless of who's that quarterback, I got the Bills in this one.
All right, here. So, yeah, I guess, again, I'm watching it day to day, but I think Buffalo, I like what they've been doing. Again, despite injuries, they've been doing well. So
I will
they're
say
going to
this,
start to
though.
get some of these guys back.
Last week, the Bills were vulnerable to the run.
Mm-hmm.
And the Vikings do have Dalvin Cook. So, but the big thing is that the Vikings don't have, that great of an offensive line either. So it's like I'm curious to see how this kind of unfolds. I look for the Bills. If they're smart, they're going to double team Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be the smart thing to do. You have the depth, you have the pieces to do it. Single up Adam Thielen because he's not the same guy that he once was.
Yep.
He's getting older. And let's see what the Bills can do against this Vikings team.
All right, next we've got the Detroit Lions who pulled out that victory against the Green Bay Packers here. And the Chicago Bears, Chicago Bears, been putting up some offense here, especially with the quarterback, with
running
the running.
the ball,
He's got running the ball
Jesus.
like crazy here. But, again, still not turning into some victories for them. Detroit, they're a tough team to gauge here, too. This is going to be a tough divisional matchup here. But I think they've just been putting up more offense, so I think I'm going to roll with Chicago here at home.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely a toss-up for this matchup.
Right.
The Bears, however, are extremely weak on defense now. They got rid of Roquan Smith. They traded away, Robert Quinn, both two big-time players. And I wonder, with the fire sale that they had on the defensive side of the ball, like, how are you going to keep teams down long enough for you to – so this is a scoring affair, really. I look to see if Detroit can continue their continue their success from last week. I mean, look at what they did against Green Bay. Like, I get it. Green Bay is, but that's a divisional game. I expect it to be close. But I'll tell you what, the Lions defense looked really impressive last week. I know it was against Green Bay's offense, but hopefully they can continue it. I'm going to go with the Lions in this one.
All right, here we go. We got the Denver Broncos coming off their bye week, right? And then we got the Tennessee Titans, who, again, should have won that game last week against, what was it? The Chiefs, right?
Was it
Chiefs? Yeah, the Chiefs. And, I mean, they again were playing that game where they were doing everything right for so long. And then, again, when you have the last few minutes and you have the ball in your hand, this is what I don't get. He might be a running back, but your star player should not be on the sideline, I think, in those key moments where it's win or lose. You know what I mean? You can keep running with him because he's been able to get first downs with running too. You saw he was mashing people over. So he could have got a first down with a run. You know what I mean? And even in the passing game, whatever, you can still get it to him. You got to get him involved whatever the time frame might be. Don't change the game that you've been doing. You've been doing those, even with him in it, they were doing the RPOs or even the read options to where Malik Willis was keeping it at times too.
Yeah.
That's out the window in that 2 minute then.
I mean, honestly, I think they should have done that, though, still.
Right.
I mean, if you have Derrick Henry on the sideline, we kind of talked about it off the air, you're basically saying, okay, we are going to pass. Like, we're never going to threaten the run. We're never going to threaten utilizing Derrick Henry. So you guys can just play the deep ball, play the run, or play the pass, and you got it nailed. Because my thing about that game is at the end of the game when they started to let things slip away, Treylon, you're asking a lot from Malik Willis. You're asking a ton from a rookie quarterback who hasn't been in this situation in the NFL before. It's chaos in Kansas City. Like, the fans are going nuts. It's very loud, very, disruptive for him to try to communicate. And why aren't you simplifying the offense? Why aren't you giving him high percentage throws, slants, crossing routes, drag routes, hitches to the tight end, just to kind of get the ball moving a little bit? And then if you keep Derrick Henry in there, what's to say to have him do like a swing route? And if he's in trouble, he can just dump it off to Henry, let him run. Because honestly, Chiefs were so worried about the deep ball that they played everybody deep. So if you do that and have Henry swing out, give him the ball, see how far he can run. Right. You know what I mean? So I just think that it was poor execution by the offensive coordinator and play calling, having a rookie quarterback, asking too much of him, and for God's sakes, you can't have your best player on the offense sitting on the sideline when all this is happening.
Absolutely, and that defense was doing so good and locking him
up,
locking up Patrick Mahomes.
They did such a phenomenal job.
He couldn't pass to anybody where he had to put the game literally on his shoulders and do it all for him. But here we go. If they get them against the Denver Broncos, I'm not impressed at all what the Broncos have been doing even after a week of rest. Tennessee at home has really shown that they've been really tough here and strong, and that fans are still behind them. If that defense shows up like they did this last week, and again, Brian Tannehill's still going to be out, I really like what Malik Willis has been able to do here, and it adds that different type of look to their offense, the extra threat that he might run or whatever. And I think some of those throws were his fault. It wasn't like, like what Lamar Jackson last week was throwing behind his receivers. I don't know how many times. These receivers are just weak. I wish he
They don't
had
have
a guy.
receivers.
I wish he had a guy like A.J. Brown there still, too, because there's so many drop balls within those passing plays. They could have easily got the first down still and drove down and won that game if the receivers could catch.
Yep.
But they didn't.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So it hindered her. But
here's the
I
thing.
like the
Before
Tennessee Titans in this
all right,
one.
I was just going to say before you make your pick,
No,
I
I'm
wanted
good.
to tell you this. But Treylon Burks is making a return this week, so they're going to have some. Even though he's a rookie, he actually was playing pretty well early on in the season. He's making a return from injury, so he'll be there this week. Ryan Tannehill is not on the injury report, so it looks like maybe he'll be starting back again. So they're going to have their guys again going up against the Denver Broncos. Broncos have a decent defense, but their offense is putrid. It is terrible. Russell Wilson, I don't know if it's because he's learning. This is a new offense for him with Nathaniel Hackett, or if Nathaniel Hackett is just that bad of a coach, because it seems like they haven't been able to put points on the board. And for Denver, because they're still struggling in that category, I think you got to travel to Tennessee. You got to play a team that is on the rise now. I mean, listen, Tennessee, we thought they were down and out early in the season. They weren't playing very well. Now it seems like they're turning the corner and starting to get back into this playoff race. So I'm going to go with the Titans as well.
All right, next
Our
up.
next game. Let me just tell
Go
you.
ahead.
The next game is Jacksonville at Kansas City. Any takers on the Jaguars? Anybody?
I don't know. They're looking better.
I don't think so. They played a bad team in the Raiders that don't have a good defense. Honestly, like they should have lost that game. And even though they came back very late in the second half and ended up getting the lead, and they still had to hold off the Raiders that had one last drive to win it all. That was not even supposed to be close. So Jacksonville, you got to deal with in Kansas City. You got to deal with the Chiefs that are very, very good at home, and they are high-flying offense. The Chiefs, they are going to welcome you with open arms because they have the upper hand on you. I don't think anything different is going to happen in this game. I can't imagine the Chiefs losing this. I'm going the Chiefs.
Yeah, I like the Chiefs in this one too. Again, and it seems like to me like they always play in the Kingdom. Like, do they ever do away games?
Doesn't it feel like that?
feels
It always
they're
feels
never
like they're
away.
home.
Yeah,
They're always home.
It always seems like it. But again, yeah, I think they're going to play well there too. They've got the personnel. Jacksonville's still trying to grow into their own. So yeah, I like them at home. It's Cleveland Browns and the Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins really turning up the heat, Joe. And Tyreek Hill
like what
again
you did there.
crossed 1,000 yards already. Look at that. The difference, the addition that he has made to that offense. And despite that silly, they're still getting into Jalen Waddle too and everybody else and still mixing it up here. And playing here at home with Cleveland, they just can't wait until they can get Deshaun Watson here. You know what I'm saying? And they've already given some nice, I think they even already said thank you to Jacoby Brissett. Like, thanks, man, you've done a great job for us. So they're already telling him goodbye. Like, oh, thanks, see you later. And it's not even time yet. So we're still getting there.
He knows it though.
Yeah.
He knows.
I
what's
know, but
happening.
I mean, Cleveland again. They're just going through whatever they can to wade the storm. But I don't think it's enough to beat the Miami Dolphins.
Dolphins are red hot now that Tua is back as the quarterback. Listen, despite I know he gets picked on because he doesn't have the strongest arm or what have you, but man, he's making plays.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he is delivering the football to his players, and whether it be the most accurate pass or not that accurate, he's giving them opportunities to make the plays, and they're coming down with the ball. So this team with Tua is way more dangerous than without. Miami and their defense kind of thrives off of this too. You know, when you have an offense that can score points on the board, your defense kind of feeds off of that, and they're able to go after the opponent. Cleveland, what can you say? They're a work in progress. They got a lot of nice young talent, but they are also kind of dealing with some injuries that happened this past week. Looks like most of them are going to be able to return. Jack Conklin was limited this past practice with a foot injury. Most likely all these guys are going to end up coming back, but even healthy, I think the Browns are still going to face an uphill climb against the Dolphins. I got the Dolphins.
All right, next up we've got the the Houston Texans and the New York Football Giants. Giants are back after a week off here. I was doing the whole pick against the Giants so they can win, but that was foiled when we went to 605 again, rest of 605. So that did not work out for us last week. But they were due to lose one of these games here. The Houston Texans, they've been a tight team to play against. They have a lot of heart. Davis Mills looks good too, but again, just some of those mistakes and not having some of their personnel, I think, out there too. And the fact that I think they're still going to have probably Brandon Cooks not wanting to play and have issues there. So, but, is Pierce going to be able to play too? I think I was reading something too that he might not be playing. Or he might be
Xavier
injured.
McKinney's not playing for the
Yeah,
Giants.
So, yeah, I know that. He's got a broken hand. So that's going to be a big thing for the Giants.
Can I just say something? Like, if you're a professional athlete,
Yeah.
what are you doing risking injury when it's in the middle of your season? You got hurt on an ATV and like,
Yeah, they let him
broke
go
his
on
thumb.
vacation. Like, I know Brian Dable, cool, coach or whatever, stuff like that. But we've had issues like this before with the Giants, with other coaches. Like, dude, on their bye week, why are you letting them go on a vacation? I understand that everybody's due to go do one, but save it for the offseason if you're not in the playoffs or whatever. Like, go on vacation all you want. You have 1 week off. You're going to go take a vacation quick? Don't you want to keep the thing going that you've got going with the winning and stuff like that? You
Right.
want to stay healthy through the season? Going out somewhere doing it and doing off-roading, that sounds stupid. It gives you every chance to hurt yourself. And now this is what we have. So, I mean, it's insane. But the Giants, again, I think they have enough personnel to be able to beat the Houston Texans. Texans are an up-and-down team. I think it's going to be a close, exciting game. I'm excited to see the Texans and what Davis Mills has to offer. These two quarterbacks kind of go at it a little bit. So, but because I like both. But I'm going to go with the Giants here. I'm going to pick the Giants here. So hopefully that doesn't come back to bite me.
Here's the thing. This is why you can never be 100% sure about any game. When the Raiders played the Texans, it wasn't even a close game. Raiders put up 40-plus points on them, and they scored 20. Like, this is a team that a lot of teams that are well put together, like the Giants, you're supposed to beat these teams. And for the Giants, they've been playing at such a high level right now. I know they just sustained a loss, but this is part of those building blocks as a team, as a football team, that okay, you got to face some adversity. You got to come back the following week and make things happen. I think the Giants kind of take this win in New York with all their fans going crazy. Giants win against the Texans.
Kenny Galladay was limited at practice. Who knows? Maybe
Who cares
if he plays,
about him?
it might be different.
Who cares about him?
You're going with the Giants?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. The New Orleans Saints and the Pittsburgh Steelers here. Pittsburgh, again, looking putrid here with their team and what's going on.
Defense
They
is
could
still
have been
good, though.
probably. They could have been on maybe the what the F is going on, but we kind of know what's going on with that team. But the New Orleans Saints. Is it me, Joe, or did last week, again, whenever I saw Taysom Hill in the game, it just seemed like the offense moved a little better? I mean, it just kind of did. Maybe they should have done it a little more.
They ran the ball. I mean, he didn't throw. He's not a quarterback.
No, he did. He did throw, and he connected. You know what I mean? It's like it just seems like it's just a different type of thing that teams that have to look for. I mean, mix it up a little more. It seemed like the offense just moved a little better.
9 times out of 10, all they do is run with Taysom Hill. It's not even that surprising.
yeah,
they
but
throw
it was
very
a little
few times. Very few times.
But I'm just saying, last week it was effective, and then Andy Dalton out there just missing some of his targets here. He had an easy touchdown, just threw in a different spot. I don't know if it was miscommunication with what the wide receivers are supposed to do on that one, but again, they had a chance to win, and they couldn't get it done. So this is going to be a shit show of a game, I think, here too. I really could care less who wins this one. Pittsburgh at home, who knows? It could be tighter there, but I think I'm going to go with the Saints on this one. Why not? Let's go with the Saints on this one.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Saints because I think that I like the defense better for the Saints this week. Yes, they're still working on getting healthy. I don't know if Marshawn Lattimore is going to be able to return this week. I know that he's been kind of out for some time. I'm trying to take a quick look here.
If only
Actually,
the Pittsburgh Steelers
the
can get
only
the
guy
offense
that's
going,
on the injury report is Andrews Pete.
There you go.
He's the only one right now. So maybe, possibly, they're going to get all these guys back that have been sitting out with injuries. And if that's the case, then it's even more swinging towards the Saints for me. I don't like their offense really because they still don't have all their pieces. But Chris Olave has been lighting it up as a rookie with Andy Dalton slinging the ball to him, and it's tough to stay with that kid. Defensively, I think this is going to be different because these two opponents do not face each other very often at all. So it's going to be early on in the game. I feel like it's going to be really close, and then maybe in the second half it's going to start to open up and Saints kind of get the ball rolling.
All right, we got the Indianapolis Colts and the Las Vegas Raiders. Here we go. Two of the teams that we were asking, WTF, what's going on with these guys? Somebody's got to come out of here with a win, maybe. Yeah, I mean, because we also
I think it's going to be a tie.
Get the tie.
I think it's going to be a tie.
What's going to happen after that? Last week we talked about McDaniel's blowing up on the sidelines with Carr and then the team in disarray. The Colts now with Jeff Saturday, are they going to feel energized under Jeff Saturday now and come out of here with a victory? I think Jonathan Taylor is not going to be able to play in this game too. I think they're saying that he was injured, so that could be a difference maker here for the Colts. So again,
he'll be back. He'll be back.
I'm going to lean with your Vegas Raiders here on this one, just because I'm not sure about the Saturday thing. I'm intrigued, though. I'm intrigued by this game. So I'm going to do it. What the hell? What do you got to lose?
Yeah, I mean, listen.
I'm gambling on Vegas, baby. Let's go.
The only thing that I'll say is that the Raiders, one thing that they've been good at doing is putting points on the board in the first half.
Right?
Hopefully things get corrected for them this week. I mean, I was hoping for it to happen week 1, but with Josh McDaniels, and here's the other problem that you have with this game is because there's a rift between the players and the coaches, I'm not really sure they're going to be hitting on all cylinders this week. The Colts, they're also another team that's like that. They have a backup quarterback trying to make things work, and they don't have all the receivers, so it's like this is a very difficult game to pick. But whenever I face difficult games to pick, I usually go with the home team. Yeah, I'm going to go with the Raiders once again.
Why not?
And hope for the best.
Why not, buddy? We're both picking our teams. Let's see what happens. All right, here we go. We got the Dallas Cowboys and the Green Bay Packers. Green Bay, I've been saying this for weeks. This is the week they're going to pull out the victory, and then it never comes. Dallas, they're a tough opponent right now, and there's a lot of talk about trying to get Odell Beckham Jr. That's all I've heard this week. It's like they have asked every single player in the Dallas Cowboys, including even Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones always going to tell you the same thing. All the other players are going to tell you, hey, yeah, of course we would like to have Odell Beckham Jr.
Of course,
bring him
right?
But they've been doing well without it. And Dak Prescott's back here healthy. Tony Pollard's been lighting it up for them. And that defense has been pretty stout for them, too. So, again, if this is the year that they always talk about every year, that we're going to make the playoffs, we're going to go far, this is probably the best year to do it. Because, again, your division is the toughest, or is the best division right now in the league, or at least in the NFC. So it's a good chance that these teams here are going to make the playoffs in a good playoff run and play some of these other lower tier teams that just barely skim backdoor into the playoffs that are definitely beatable and not as strong as they once were. So speaking of which, they're playing the Green Bay Packers. Even though they're at home, I'm not really afraid of the Green Bay Packers in this one. They haven't shown us anything. I would be delighted if they could pull out a victory here.
Yeah, it would be cool.
It'd be pretty amazing. But I'm going to go with the Dallas Cowboys on this one. It's the smarter bet, I think, at this point.
And we've had a lot of question marks about Green Bay, like what they're going to be doing going forward. Romeo Doubs, one of the kind of bright spots of this offense, goes down with injury. He's not going to be available.
Aaron Jones,
Alan Lazard, even though Alan Lazard's been out there most of the time, it just doesn't seem to, work into some points on the board.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm questioning like what is going on offensively with play calling, with your personnel. Like, what are you doing differently? And then you also have to remember Aaron Jones is now gone due to injury. So this Green Bay offense, I know it sounds funny, but they could take another step backwards.
Yeah.
And maybe not do much of anything this week. Defensively, their defense might keep them in this game, but I think Dallas Cowboys, they got too much firepower. They got too much going for them. And against Green Bay, it's a team that they got to beat, so I'm going with the Cowboys.
Like I said before, they've been pretty good against the pass, but terrible against the run really so much. And, too, you got Tony Pollard and Zeke Elliott back there. I think that's it. The Cowboys run their game and stay just to keep it run and then, effective on the pass. They've got it all day. All right, here we go. We've got the Arizona Cardinals and the Rams, another two teams here that were both on that list too. Cardinals, again, Kyler Murray did not practice today. So we'll see what happens with that as game time rolls on here. But the Rams, again, we'll see what happens with the concussion protocol here with Matthew Stafford here. So we might see two backups play each other in this one, Joe. Even
Awesome.
so, on this one. So, yeah, we're super excited about that, right? So we thought it was going to be a very snooze fest here. Maybe this is when I'm 4:25, mark it. I'm going to get my nap. I'm going to get my nap in at 4:25. So... yeah, this is a tough one to call, but again, the Rams, they've been in tighter games, I think, against tougher opponents. And that defense is better than the Cardinals' defense, obviously, too, because who they have and the way they've been playing. So I think I'm just going to side on the air of caution here and go with the Rams, maybe. What do you think? Toss up, you're going for the tie.
I think both teams are scary. I mean, especially if neither one of their quarterbacks are going to be available, that would be crazy. I think Kyler Murray's going to rest up this week. I think he'll be back for this Sunday. So I'm going to go with that. I'm going with the Cardinals in this one. I think they're a little bit better of a team, to be honest. I mean, their defense is a little faster, and despite both teams kind of going through some big-time injury lists, is what I'm seeing. It looks like both their centers might be in jeopardy of being out this week for the Rams. Kind of evens the playing field for the Cardinals because they don't have their starting center. But man, this is kind of funny. I gotta say. So I'm gonna go with Arizona on this one.
Okay. All right, there you go. He goes with the Cardinals, and we got the Chargers and the 49ers here now in the Sunday Night Football. But first, before we get to it, we got Mike Tackett in the house.
There he is.
How's it going, guys? Watching from work on my break. Not sure what's messier, the weather here or the Packers offense.
Yeah, right.
My picks are getting better every week. That's good. Yeah, I'm gunning for you guys. He is. Mike, now that you're here with us.
Yes, sir.
We had brought up maybe the fact that you wanted to partake in the bet here.
What's going on, Mike?
So the two losers have to drink alcohol out of one of these football-shaped things. We will find a way to get one to you, or we will possibly travel to you or something or figure out some kind of travel to meet up with you for the week after the Super Bowl
it's possible
to do this thing, the whole drinking show of whoever loses out of the competition. Winner gets to see the two, a little messy, and have to babysit for the show. So I think that would be very exciting, right? To see, I'm interested to see what a buzzed Mike Tackett might look like, but who knows? Maybe he'll just be there, and we'll both be buzzed, and he'd be like, "Guys, I don't usually host the show, but now I have to because you guys are like this. This is not fun for me, So who knows? It'd be a lot of fun. But so let us know what you think about that one. But we've got the Chargers and the San Francisco 49ers. Chargers again to me look like the same old Chargers again. It seems like every year we kind of say, like, here we go. They're going to move on. This is it.
They're going to be better.
And coach is still in bad decisions, still injuries. Keenan Allen, you're getting him in and out. The games are barely pulling out some of these wins. If it wasn't for Khalil Mack stripping that ball out and getting that touchdown there, I mean, they're looking at another loss here. Mike Tackett says 1 tequila, 2 tequila, 3 tequila floor. Exactly, man. So there you go. So, I mean, I think it'll be a lot of fun. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, for the Chargers, they deserve to lose that game last week. If it wasn't for Drake London basically handing Khalil Mack the ball instead of just going down, the Chargers probably aren't in a good spot right now. The Chargers pulled off that crazy win against Atlanta. I don't know how they pulled it off, but they did. The Niners, they are on a warpath right now. Their defense is playing ridiculously well. They are hunting down quarterbacks. And the offense is starting to take an uptick in play. Jimmy Garoppolo looking a lot better lately, distributing the football to Brandon Ayuk. It looks like Deebo Samuel's making a return from injury. And I like the Niners way better in this one. Not only are they home, but they are just on a way better path than the Chargers.
Yeah, and the addition of Christian McCaffrey finally showing its way through here. The first week, not so much, a little bit, but then the last week you really saw it and what he was able to do. offensively, like it was sick. Didn't he have like a passing touchdown, a rushing touchdown, and a receiving touchdown too on top of it, or something like that? It was something ridiculous.
Funny thing about that pass is it wasn't going to Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
It was going to George Kittle in the back corner of the end zone.
That's what I thought, because I looked at it and they look at the catch. I'm like,
but his athletic ability was ridiculous. He got way up there to catch that ball.
Yeah, I was looking at that. So yeah, we're in agreement on that. Because I was gonna say, dude, because I didn't think that was going to him, but what a spectacular catch, though, right?
It was
to go
awesome.
Up and get it. So yeah, I'm gonna roll with you too as well, just because again, altogether, it looks like they're starting to hit their peak. Where the Chargers again, very confusing and left confused about this team. The Washington Washington Commanders here in the Philadelphia Eagles. We were gonna try and do a live show for this one. Unfortunately, it's not gonna happen here for us, but we're still working on it. That'd be cool if we can.
Yeah.
But the Washington Commanders, Philadelphia Eagles, a really tight divisional game here too. Anything can happen here still, Joe. The Eagles have been undefeated, but that kind of wears on the team for so long too. Can you go 8-0? Can you go 9-0 here? How long is going to go? How far?
It's not easy to win in the league.
These teams know each other. They've been playing, and now you've got Heineke. They're a different team. They look different. They're hungrier. I think they're really behind Heineke.
And this week, Chase Young makes a return.
That's nice. They've been looking forward to something like that, Joe. When was the last time Chase Young was Chase Young? You know what I'm saying?
Last year.
Looking to try and get him back to it. You know what I mean? So Philadelphia, they're tough to beat, though, especially here at home. With again, offense running on all cylinders, defense on all cylinders. I think they just got it going for them. So I'm going to go with the Philadelphia Eagles, especially because they are at home. But let's see the Commanders make a game out of this one.
Yeah, I think they will, too. Like, we noticed the improved play with Taylor Heineke at the helm on offense. Listen, Washington finally has an offense. They can put points on the board now. Taylor Heineke, a player favorite, is taking over that spot and doing it well, as LL Cool J would say.
Like a bitch.
I'll tell you right now, it's been pleasant to see. This is something that we kind of anticipated, though, on the show. We said that it's not going to take that long. Carson Wentz eventually is going to get injured. It's going to open in the door for Taylor, and he's going to take the offense by storm, and that's what he's doing. He's distributing the football to all his receivers, Jahan Dotson, Curtis Samuel, Terry McLaurin, Logan Thomas at times. So, I mean, this is an offense that looks way different than what we saw in weeks 1 in the first half of the season. Now, you couple that with a defense that's been playing well, and now they have something to play for. That makes a scary opponent. So the Eagles, do not overlook this team. This team has been playing way better now as of late, and they are coming to your home. So I will say this, disclaimer, I will not be shocked if Washington beats Philly and upsets them. But with the way the Eagles have been playing lately and how healthy their team has been, I'm going to stick with them just because they're home.
All right, there we go. So there's our picks here. We'll see how we do against Mike Tackett out there. Mike Tackett, I'm sure, is going to post his picks out there, Joe. So
that's right.
It's been exciting. It's been a crazy year. Everybody asked for parity, and we've got it this season.
We even got parity with our picks.
Yeah.
How about that?
Right. It's been nutty. Last year was really tight too. Last year it went down to the last 2 weeks where I had to try and do a couple to try and make something happen. I only lost by 3, but it was within 1 though. With the last 2 weeks. So, I mean, if I got the one right and then it would have came down to the Super Bowl, it was it. But I picked a little too early, and it is what it is. But we had a lot of fun. It's a lot of close games all the time with us, and it's a lot of fun when we do the drinking show, too. So, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. So,
he enjoys it more when I lose.
Yeah, right. It is. That's a lot of fun, too. Because then I can even do more button pushing and stuff like that and make some fun. But, Mike, we definitely enjoy you joining in with us and getting in on it. So, I think that'd be a lot of fun, and maybe we can plan something for the future.
Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Those of you that did, if you're new to the show, please do us a huge favor. Head over to YouTube, search us up, Football on the No Show. Boom! Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, let you guys know when we go live. You can also follow us on Facebook, at Twitter, at FB_no, or
#KnowItAll.
if you don't like to be interactive with us, listen, we're the best interactive NFL talk show, and we want to prove it to you guys every single week. Make sure you don't forget next Wednesday. Comment down below. We will give you a shout out. We will talk about what you want to talk about. And that's what it's all about. Listen, we are also on every podcast known to man. We are on Spotify. We are on iTunes. So if you want to take us on the go, be in the know, hit that follow button, and you can be too.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks a lot, you guys, and we'll see you next time.
Join us next week from 8 till 10 Wednesday night for more Football on the Know with Jim and Joe.